Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ohio State Primetime Live here at Ohio State, the voice of college football. I'm your host, as always, on a Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Garrison. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and also check out our website at www.vocfb.com. You can check out all the awesome writers that we have that keep you up to date with what's going around in the college football landscape and more, and also show you the weekly schedule that we have for our program, whether it be here, whether it be Oklahoma, the team up north, North Carolina, Texas. We have it all here for you at Ohio, at the Voice of College Football. What's going on, Jim? Evening, Garrison, with the hat. Yeah, it's a different hat I have. I've never worn it before, so I decided to wear it today. Don't know why. Just wore it to work. I like it. It fits well. Do you agree, Jam? But yeah, I appreciate you guys all for being here. A lot to unpack today, a lot to talk about. Got some news over the weekend, so we're going to talk about that. Talk about Matt Patricia and whether or not he's actually going to be at Ohio State, what it looks like right now. Also talk about the hire Ohio State made earlier today. Talk about a future, hopefully, commitment right now for Ohio State that they're in the running for Maxwell. Oh my goodness, Maxwell. Good grief, Hiller. So yeah, a lot to talk about here today. So let's get started. But before we do, everybody, let's get this message here quick from the voice of college football.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Okay, everybody, let's get to the show. Let's start out here with the news that comes out about Matt Patricia, and not the news, I would say, but just some of the rumors that have been going around about Matt Patricia and whether he will be at Ohio State. I want to. This comes from an article from Pat Murphy, and he says, "No news is good news on that front." Murphy said when it comes to whether or not he signed his deal with Ohio State. He says he wants to be here. It's just a matter of let's see what comes in, and I think he deserves the right to take his time. And I fully agree with Pat Murphy on this. After the year that Matt Patricia had, and that's one of the reasons why coaches go different places, or say if a coach hasn't had some bad years and he goes somewhere else, he wants to show what he can do, and why not show it at somewhere like Ohio State where you're playing with the best athletes or coaching the best athletes. You're going to be in the biggest games. You're going to go to the playoffs and do that too. You're going to some of the best coordinators in that time also. And so I'm not surprised at all that Matt Patricia garnered looks from the NFL, and he is currently still doing that, as has been reported. At the end of the day, Matt Patricia is a 3-time Super Bowl winning champ as a defensive coordinator, has had except for 1 year as a grad assistant at Syracuse, his life has been in the NFL. And I think I don't think this, people in the NFL circles respect Matt Patricia and who he is as a coach, especially as a DC. So I'm not surprised that he's getting these looks. Now, what does that mean for Ohio State, right? Well, I think this is the first question. Are teams willing to spend more money than Ohio State is going to? And mind you, it's not even just about the money. It's about other things that come with the deal, right? And with the job. I mean, in the NFL, you can have a vacation. In college football, whether you be the head coach, the DC, or the tight ends coach, you don't get that. Maybe you get a week here throughout the season, but you're constantly out there coaching. You're constantly out there recruiting. You're constantly out there checking with what all your recruiters are doing, because Matt Patricia probably isn't doing most of the recruiting, but he meets the players that he needs to meet when he needs to meet them. You know, there's a lot that goes on through there. So there's that. But I do want to know, like, if the NFL team, let's say the Raiders or just anybody, want to pay Matt Patricia a certain dollar amount, with the situation that Ohio State is currently in, we're in February right now. And this is where coaches need to be around each other, either out there recruiting or they're bouncing ideas off each other's heads and off each other's minds. Losing your defensive coordinator right now, there's no way to spin that. It would hurt. And it would hurt a great detriment, especially it's not just about losing a guy like him. It's about now, who do you replace him with? What coach wants to leave, whether he's in a good situation or not. Like if you're the DC over at, let's say, Alabama, you're the DC over at just anywhere that's big time. Are you willing to leave right now? That's where Ohio State could be in some trouble. The next question I would ask is, what is Ohio State willing to do? Like, knowing the situation that you're in and knowing the predicament that you could possibly be in if you were to lose him, are you willing to, just jump off the ledge and keep your guy, keep the guy that you want there? Now, me personally, I believe that Matt Patricia does want to be in Columbus. I mean, from the day he got there, he's ingratiated himself with the players, loved on the players, and the players do the same for him. He speaks highly about being at Ohio State, especially just being in college in general, where he gets to, mold young men into being really good players that go on to the NFL. He talked about that plenty of times. And so I'm really curious, like, how much does he need to get paid to either leave Ohio State, and what does Ohio State have to do? I mean, was it maybe a month ago, not even, when they were talking about Matt Patricia and him getting a new deal, the word out there was he's not asking for anything extravagant. He's not asking for the world right now. And so I think that's a good thing for Ohio State. That shows that he actually does want to be here. But of course, when the NFL comes a calling, and take away the fact that he's the NFL guy, that's the highest stage in the profession that you're in when it comes to college, when it comes to football coaching. It doesn't get bigger than the NFL. There's no Olympics for football, so this is as big as it gets. And also on top of that, we just had the Super Bowl yesterday. That's the biggest sports event in the world for a single day. So man, listen, it could be tough. If Ohio State can't keep him, this could be really tough. But again, I don't think he's going to leave. I truly hope and pray he doesn't leave. I want to know what you guys think. How worried are you about Matt Patricia right now possibly leaving Ohio State? And then if he were to, what would be your reaction to that? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, like 1, like, yeah, it sucks, but I'm not that worried. And 10 being lunatic fringe times 2. Well, what point would you go to? But again, I hope he stays, because Matt Patricia, what he did last year, doesn't get talked about enough. I constantly have these conversations. They say, oh, yeah, well, Matt Patricia had this and Matt Patricia had that. He had Arbel Reese. He had Caden McDowell. He had Sonny Styles. He had Caleb Downs. But I remind people, when Matt Patricia got hired at Ohio State, that was everybody's joke, or everyone joked about it, and that was everybody's punchline. Ohio State hired a failed NFL coach or head coach. And then everyone also talked about how the fact that Ohio State had 8 players get drafted off of that defense. How are they going to replenish all that? What are they going to be like? Ohio State, they're going to take a step down. And, and I hate that argument when people say, oh, you guys are going to take a step down after having a stupid good elite defense. The same way we do this year. I'm like, yeah, you're probably going to, but no one could have seen that Ohio State's defense was going to be better this year than it was the year prior to with Jim Knowles. And then he goes on through the year, and then everyone sees what these players have. Not everyone wants to say, oh, no, he's not that good. Those are the players. You don't get to do that. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too, right? So, yeah, like I said, I'm excited to have Matt Patricia here now, and I hope he's here for a couple more years to stay, at least one more year. I would love to have him for one more year. I truly would. But yeah, that's that. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. What are your thoughts? What if Matt Patricia were to leave? How would you react if he did? Do you? I mean, I'll ask this: do you think Ohio State should make him the highest paid DC in college football? I really wonder that. Okay. Jam says hit the hit the like. Please do that. Hit the like so Garrison can keep his job. I promise you, everybody, Garrison has a career outside of this. He actually has a career job. If I could do this for a living, trust me, I would. I happily would. I would love to just talk to you guys every day and talk about Ohio State football every day. Trust me, it don't get no better than that. It really can't. But yeah, that's the everybody right now for Matt Patricia. Again, Matt Patricia, if you're watching this, I'm sure you probably haven't yet, but please stay in Columbus. Now, and also, I'm trying to get these commercials out early because there's things I want to talk about later in the show. So I'm trying to get these things out now. So what we're going to do next here is another quick message from the Voice of College Football. Get your business, product, or service or personal brands to the next level by partnering with the Voice of College Football, and let's discuss how you also can reach your target market. Check out the experience of one of our current partners, that being Win Agency, and our friends over at FanDuel, because this is Ohio State Primetime Live presented by FanDuel. Just like them, we are here to deliver for you. Contact us at sponsorships at vocfb.com. Again, that is sponsorships at vocfb.com today. All right, let's move on here to the next topic. We won't spend too long on this, but Ohio State has a new coach, and Ohio State has just hired Thomas Morton as their new assistant tight ends coach to be coaching there with Keenan Bailey, who we're also going to talk about a little bit more in this because I think this means something for him. So if you guys don't know who Thomas Morton is, if you Google him right now, you won't find much on him. You won't even find on Wikipedia. But he was the Samford QB coach last year in 2025. Before that, let's go through the whole timeline here, actually. So in 2020, he played football for Southern Miss, played quarterback. And then right after the near next, in 2021, he joined Auburn as a player analyst. After that, was promoted at Auburn in 2022 as the offensive assistant. Then in 2023, he left. No, I'm sorry. He was the QB's coach. Quality control wide receiver coach for Troy before heading back to Auburn as the quality control wide receivers coach there. Then after that, of course, as we said, went to Sanford as QB coach, and now is joining Ohio State as a tight ends coach. So this is something new for him. He's never been a tight ends coach of any sort. But I mean, what this looks like is kind of what you're going to find with any young coach, young guy. He's moving up the ranks. He's going through different things. He played quarterback in college, of course, over at Southern Miss. Probably wants to stay on the offensive side. He's gone through wide receivers coach. He's been a QB's coach, been an offensive assistant. And he's also a grad assistant for 2 years over at Troy. Over a year, at Troy. So there's not much to take away from this. Again, this is a new role for him. This is just another, just like any job. You're constantly trying to step up in your profession. Whether let's say you are you're an HR guy like I was. You start off maybe payroll, then you go after that. You probably get a HR journalist position. Then you probably get a specialist position. Then you probably become a manager. Things like that. You're moving around the offense, learn different things. Because eventually you had to believe he wants to be a head coach someday. To become a head coach, you probably got to be an OC somewhere. So that's really cool. But what I kind of got from this, though, was him being the assistant tight end. Because I don't think you really need an assistant tight ends coach. So then I think, okay, what does this mean for Keenan Bailey? Now, I think for Keenan Bailey, what this means, of course, we all Jam brought this up, I think last week, him going around. Was it him or someone else? It was Coach Keys. It was someone else. But I think for Keenan Bailey, because there were talks going around about, hey, could he possibly be the OC for Ohio State in 2026? Thank God he's not. Shout out to Arthur Smith. But I think for him, I think for Keenan Bailey, and I have no inside information on this. This is me speculating. I think for him, you're probably talking about him probably being more involved with the offense throughout in terms of the game planning, in terms of him just being around the room more with Ryan Day, with Arthur Smith, Tyler Bowen, of course, he's been an OC before too. So I think this is a good move for Keenan Bailey, and of course, you also probably have your Titans coach in waiting, just in case, depending on how long Keenan Bailey is here at Ohio State, whether it be him being promoted into another position, a higher position, or whether that be him going somewhere else for position, you still have a guy there that could possibly take the Titans coaching spot. And also because let me know if I'm wrong, I don't know if Titans coach is like the biggest need of an offensive staff or staff in general. So that's that. There's just some quick information here for him. So, shout out to Coach. I don't know what he's probably going to do more recruiting. But yeah, shout out to Coach Thomas More. Join the Ohio State Buckeyes and OHIO. But yeah, let's move on here to some bigger news. And it's early. You don't want to take too much out of this, but I think anytime you get this far in a player's recruitment, you're talking about something big here. So Maxwell Hiller, one of the best players in the class of 2026. 26? I could be wrong here. No. Yeah, 27. Yeah, I get mixed up with how the recruiting works sometimes. I really do. But Maxwell Hiller, number 10 player in the country as an interior offensive lineman. He is the number 1 player at his spot. This is huge right now for Ohio State, and this is why. After one season, and for me personally, wrongfully so, a lot of people have gotten on Tyler Bowen about this last year and how the offensive line looked. His calling card has mostly been recruiting. Now, I think that he's done a great job in recruiting the state of Ohio. As I said here plenty of times, 5-star and high 4-star blue chip guys are awesome on the offensive line. I will take the 3-star kid from Ohio. I will take that every day of the week. But as you see right here, his top 4, Alabama, Ohio State, Florida, and Tennessee. So 3 SEC teams there, and then Ohio State. I am actually surprised by his choice of schools. I mean, he's a PA kid from Coatesville, 6'5", 300 pounds. But I am surprised that Ohio State is the only Midwest school to make it this far in his recruitment right now. I'm surprised that Penn State's not there. I'm surprised that a place like the Wolverines, Notre Dame program, even Indiana, to be quite honest with you, I'm surprised by that. But yeah, number 10 player, composite, number 1 interior offensive lineman, number 2 in the state of Pennsylvania. I'm really, really curious to see if Tyler Bowen can pull this off. Because I think that if Ohio State is able to, this is probably one of the biggest, and follow it through to the end where he actually signs his letter of intent. This would be one of the biggest recruitments and commitments in Ohio State in the past probably 5 years. Because Ohio State, we have gotten top tier offensive linemen. Don't get it twisted. We've done that. Guys like Paris Johnson, of course. But it's been a few years where we haven't. And Ohio State's been great over the last few years before Tyler Bowen got here when it comes to development of the offensive line. But recruiting has, of course, been lackluster. So getting a kid like this would do a whole lot for Ohio State. I'm going to read this here, guys. This is from Gabe Brooks from over at 247. This is what he says about Hiller. Elite offensive line prospect who could possibly go pro as an interior defensive lineman as well. Okay. Big frame, but finds leverage consistently. Initiates POA engagement. POA means point of attack for those who do not know. Initiates point of attack engagement as if working the one-man sled. Pancake machine. Love to hear that. Displays impressive sudden agility that shines on both sides of the ball. So, all right. So what it sounds like here is that as good as he is as a offensive lineman, He's just as good on the defensive side. By the way, this is really weird. On 247, they have Justin Fry as his primary. 247, you got to fix that. This also says displays impressive sudden agility that shines on both. Okay, I read that, everybody. Sorry. May ultimately wind up an elite guard, but don't be surprised by a tackle role, at least in college, if not beyond. On the offensive side, of course, not D tackle. And of course, you want that. Of course, Ryan Day has said plenty of times throughout the offseason before this past season that all the offensive linemen on his team have secondary positions, which I would love to actually be. I would love to actually see that this upcoming season, but that's another conversation for another day. And then lastly, one of the top prospects in the 2027 class, regardless of position, possesses physical and athletic traits to become an early round NFL draft candidate. Don't care much about that because I'm not going to say about a high schooler today. But yeah, he's also a multi-sport athlete, plays basketball, was the big man MVP of Under Armour's Future 50 in June in 2025. And in 2024 was Max Prep sophomore All-American second team selection. Started at right tackle for Coatesville. Also got limited defensive line snaps. So yeah, man. His brother is actually a 2028 basketball recruit. So for offers from Penn State and Kansas State. So yeah, big time. This is big time. Now again, everybody, it's February. Again, it is February. So I don't take too much out of recruiting right now. I think it's big that like Ohio State has to stay on top of it, because right now you're not going to see the football players with the team or with the coaches. The team isn't going to be with the coaches. They're split up right now. So right now is all about trying to get things ready for when we do installation with the players once the spring comes around. But more than anything, recruiting. Guys are out there recruiting on planes, driving, making phone calls, shaking hands, kissing babies, giving good grip handshakes to dads, and making moms feel good about themselves. That's what the coaches' jobs are right now. So, really excited for this. Of course, Ohio State the last few years, again, they've kind of, when it comes to big-time offensive linemen, when it comes to recruiting, Ohio State has been falling off. And that's not a Tyler Bowen problem. That was a Justin Fry problem. And at the end of the day, I'm going to lay it at the hands of the feet of Ryan Day. Because I think Ryan Day, if you're a coach at Ohio State, you should be able to get top-notch offensive lineman prospects and recruits. You should be able to do that at Ohio State. If they can do that at Tennessee, if they can do that at Colorado, that had more to do about money, but who cares now in today's game, then you can land one at Ohio State. So we'll see about that. We'll see what comes of that. You guys let me know. If you guys haven't checked him out yet, you should definitely do that. But let me know in the chats and the comments, do you think Ohio State can actually make a run? Clearly we can make a run. We're in his top 4 or his final 4. But do you think Ohio State can actually go out there and get? This is my fan brain working right now. And I think I'm not going to say common sense, but this is my fan brain. What can Florida and Tennessee offer you that Ohio State can't? That's the question. There's a lot of times in these recruitments where I ask myself this question. If in this graphic I saw Alabama, Georgia, and Notre Dame, I'd be like, okay, yeah. I understand why you would go to those other 3 places. Here, I'm sitting here and honestly, think about it this way. If I'm a kid that wants to play offensive lineman, I would look at Alabama the last few years, right? And they were supposed to have one of the best offensive lines in the country, had some of the best recruits on their team. They didn't look the part. So, that's just some dirty macking that I would do. Some, negative recruiting. Negative recruiting I would do. But yeah, that's just me. But yeah, shout out to Maxwell Hiller. Hopefully get to see you in Scarlet and Gray. Hopefully you can. I would take a commitment from him right now. The 2027 class for Ohio State is outstanding. You're not going to find many better. I think it's number 1 in the country right now. Number 3. Okay, it's number 3. Yeah. So DJ Jacobs, who just recently committed. number one player in the country, Jameer Brown, Quentin Cypher, Eli Johnson, Brady Edmonds, Angelo Smith, the younger brother of Jeremiah. Yeah, Mason. Well, this is a really good class. So we'd love to have him add on to that. Definitely would. All right, everybody. But of course, if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you like the content that we bring to you here at the Voice of College Football and at Ohio State at the Voice of College Football. By the way, everybody, just so you guys know, you're probably wondering where Mike has been. He will be back. He will be back here soon. So can't wait for that. I've been missing him, as I'm sure you guys have. He doing what he's supposed to do, being a man, doing dad things. And so, no, that's my guy. So I look forward to having him back here on the channel and at the network, because it's much better with having him here. So yeah, that's that. But before we continue, like I said, go ahead and subscribe. If you are watching on X right now, go ahead and hit that like button, hit the retweet button, quote it for us if you like. That does a lot for us. Love to have you guys come over here and join us over on YouTube. But listen, man, eyes are eyes. So if you guys are eyes on here, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Trust me. Yeah, see, you don't get a message? Yeah, Mike is good. No, I'm not. It's nothing serious. Nothing. Well, it's serious because there's competition involved. But no, nothing dire. No, nothing harming. No. Mike is good. I want you guys to know that Mike is good. So yeah, Jam. Just like you, Jam. I look forward to having Mike here too. Honestly, I hate just hearing myself talk. It's not. I can do it, but I mean, you guys. I mean, if you guys ever talk to me in spaces on X, you guys know I can talk. I can talk for a good long time. But let's move on here, everybody, to the next part of the show. And we're going to go through an article here coming from Ryan Day. This is also on 247. And this has to do with Ryan Day talking about the wide receivers. And I want to read this because I think there's some really, really cool quotes in here. So, of course, we all know that Ryan Day, we lost Carnell Tate to the draft, Quincy Porter, Mylan Graham to Notre Dame. We lost Brian Hartline, who is still the wide receivers coach, even as the OC, to the USF Bulls, who I am now a pseudo fan of. But then he goes and adds, you have Brandon Ennis coming back. You have Jeremiah Smith coming back, of course. You add on Kyle Parker. You add on Devin McEwen. There's younger guys still like Phillip Bell and someone I'm a fan of, Desi Jones, who's still there. You got Chris Henry Jr. You got your Quaden Guilford coming in. I think this wide receiver room is deeper than it was last year, and it possibly could be better in all reality, just because you have more guys you can throw out there. But then you also add a new coach in Cortez Hankton. But I'm going to read some of these quotes right here real quick, and so let's start with this one. Ryan Day says, "Well, I think when you play with three receivers in a game, it's going to get harder and harder to have." There's a lot of elite depth, Day said. Remember, we used to have 5 first-rounders in that room, but you have to figure out where you want to invest your resources these days. And I'm really happy that Ryan Day said that, because I had who was this conversation with? I think it might have been Chris Drew. I think it might have been with Chris or someone. No. I can't say who. I was having a conversation with a dad of one of the an Ohio State dad, one of the players' fathers, and what he told me was that Ryan Day's philosophy is going more towards allocating the funds in other positions that have more of dire need. And I think for Ryan Day, and this is what he said, and this is what he told me. He said he thinks that Ryan Day doesn't necessarily think that wide receivers are going to be the reason why he wins a national championship. And that, when you look at other positions like the secondary, like the trenches and the quarterback position, I think you don't need 5 first-round wide receivers on your team at Ohio State. I'll put it that way. And so, allocating different funds. I'm actually really happy to hear Ryan Day say that he's been doing that. But let's get and that tracks on to what I was told what I was told. So he says, resources these days. but we want to play with 3 wide receivers in the game as many times as we can and mix in the tight ends. So and I think that hits about right. I've always thought that Ryan Day's offensive system is a 3 wide receiver system. It needs 3 wide receivers out there and a good tight end. So yeah, that tracks. He says, and obviously it starts with Jeremiah. And again, having Jeremiah come back was a huge deal. And I'm sure the fans don't quite understand what goes into these things, such as NIL deals and other programs trying to poach. It's been this way the last couple of years, and there's a lot that goes with it. So the best wide receiver in college football is back in Columbus, and that's a big deal for all of us. As we know, he makes everybody on the field better every day, and that's a fact. Jeremiah Smith, as a wide receiver, in that wide receiver room, he has the hardest job because that comes with being double teamed, bracketed, sometimes triple teamed, knowing everyone's first focus is on you when the defense is on the field. But him having the hardest job makes everybody else's job easier, And I'm sure, for a lot of us at our jobs, we have those type of people at work, right? Where the manager or the supervisor, they may have a harder job than you, but their job is to make sure that your job is easier. And that's kind of like what Jeremiah Smith honestly reminds me of. Then when it comes to Brandon Ennis, he says, and then Brandon was critical coming back, not only a captain, but somebody who now is a senior who brings a lot of leadership. And that's kind of the same thing as a captain day, but okay. And here we go. And he needs to take the next step for us. He knows that. He needs to make an impact on games, which he wants to do in the worst way. So that was important. We spoke about this on Monday. So of course that just, it tracks right what we talked about there. Of course, listen, I love BI. And he's a leader. He's a man amongst boys, honestly. And we talked about this last Monday. There are a lot of times when he was open, but that's not 100% of the time. That's not 90%. That's not even 60%. He's got to be able to make an impact on the game, whether it be blocking or catching. He's got to do that, or getting open. There's that part too. So then Ryan Day moves on to talk about some of the other guys that have joined this team. He goes, and then we felt we needed to get older and more. And I love this because he's telling you the whole how the bread is made right here. And then we felt we needed to get older and then more experience at the Z position. That was important. So we did have some guys leave, but they were younger guys that hadn't played a whole lot. Facts. So we felt like that. All right. By the way, I'm going to tell you what Ryan Day really said right there. We had young guys that wanted to get paid more, and we weren't going to because they haven't done anything from the field. That's what he was really saying. So we felt there was an important decision that we had that needed to be made. And so going to get Devin and Kyle in the portal was important. Kyle's a guy who's played a lot. He's played for Cortez and his experience and has played a lot of football. Boom. So that was good. And then also Devin, 10-3 100-meter dash guy who, when you watch him play against Texas A&M and some of their guys when UTSA played against them, he really had some big plays, really wow plays to me. Again, I said this on Thursday. I believe our wide receiver unit is better today than it would have been had we kept the guys that we kept and didn't get any of these guys out of the portal. And the guys that we got coming out of high school. I'm willing to bet that Guilford and possibly Chris Henry Jr. will make a bigger impact this season than Quincy did his freshman year last year, and than anything that Mylan Graham did. And I think Mylan has a lot of talent. I'm a big fan of Mylan, but I mean, we gotta be honest here. We can't just shortchange shit. You gotta be honest. And the truth of the matter is, he hasn't done anything. He hasn't done a single thing, which still boggles my mind because I think he's super talented. But You got to show it on the field. Yeah, and exactly. Quincy was hurt. He was he was hurt and asking for money, and you can't do that. Allegedly, if that's true, you can't do that and expect that Ohio State's not gonna like say, okay, you can move on. And like I said, Jam, earlier, like the conversation I had with a father and what Ryan Day said in this article that we just read. You got to allocate the resources somewhere else. And here's this also. Quincy Porter, I guarantee you, cost more than Kyle Parker did, and then or anyone else that we got out of the portal, or wide receiver wise, and the young guys. He costs more than that. So you can't justify the return on investment, the ROI. It has to show. It has to. Okay, so next, talking about some of the younger guys that have already been on the team. He says, then you also have some of these guys who are kind of stepping into the next role, like Phillip Bell, somebody that we think can really help us. He's shown a lot of promise. Desi Jones played Miami's Malachi Tony on the scout team for us, as we all know now. And if you guys don't know who Desi Jones is, go look up what he did in high school. Go watch his highlights. And really, that was the best he looked coming off injury, being Desi. So we felt like it was great to get him back as well. David Adolph is back for another year, who, again, as an older guy, found his way on the field last year over guys who were playing, by the way, and younger guys. So we needed all these guys. It's critical. As you guys saw last year, we needed them. And that's fact. I mean, those weeks when let's be honest here. When we found out that Carnell and Jeremiah were hurt, we were all scared. We were all afraid, hoping for the best until like more information came out. But when the initial info came out that they were injured and hurt, that was a good look. That was scary times. And then on the two freshmen incoming, he says, and then we have these young guys, Chris and Jaquaden. They're really talented, as we know. So again, when you look at sort of the last couple groups we've had some really good young players. We have some guys that are kind of making that transition as sophomores. Then we have some older guys. I hate reading like this because it's not how you start a sentence, and so sort of how we put that together is so that you have a mix of all of those, which isn't always perfect, but that's what we have in this room. Again, I think this is a room that everybody should be excited for. I think it's probably the most versatile wide receiver room Ryan Day has had in some time. I'd probably say since like the 2019 team, because in that room you had a bunch of guys that can move around different positions. They're quick twitch guys, really quick, fast guys. I mean, and you kind of had that with Chris and Garrett. But I mean, now we're talking about 7 to 8 guys that can go out there and do this. And by the way, I mean, Jeremiah, he can do this too. He can go out there, make plays from the slot, make plays from the boundary. He can make guys miss here and there. So yeah, there's that. Legends are running back right now. But with that being said, Jam, he definitely is gonna. I think he's gonna play some receiver too. I'm trying to temper my excitement over Legend Bay because I think Legend Bay is a top 5 guy in his class on our team. Legend Bay can do it all on offense. Here, like I said, he reminds me of, like, do I know if he's as good as a quarterback as Braxton coming out of high school? No, but he reminds me of Braxton Miller, as in quarterback, can play wide receiver, can play the slot, can play running back, kick return, punt return. There's nothing when it comes to having a football in his hands. There's nothing on a field that I believe Legend Bay can't do. So yeah, you're not wrong when you say that, Jam. He could possibly play wide receiver also. Well, before we move on here, everybody, please go ahead and like, share, subscribe to the channel. Also, if you would like to become a member and help us out monetarily, of course, we don't beg for money here, but everything helps out, helps us keep going here, helps us stay here, helps us do more with the program, do more for you guys. Go ahead and hit that join button. You can see our 3 tiers, that being the Black Hole Club. JT wasn't short because we all know that he wasn't. Even for you, Jordan, even Jordan, the Wolverine fan in there knows he got the first down. And we don't give a damn, and you know the rest. All right, so my boy Jordan, by the way, Jordan, my fan, bro, hey guys, friend of the show here, especially at the Voice College Football. He says, is he like Malachi Tony? All right. Jordan, when I say that, Jordan, all right, no, when I say this, Jordan's a football player, so he'll understand why I'm saying this. But for anybody that watches this, please try to understand what I'm about to say here about Legend Bay and comparing him to Malachi Tony. He's bigger than Malachi Tony. He's way, and I'm not lying when I say this, Jordan. He's way faster than Malachi Tony. Quicker side to side, I don't know. He jumps higher. Actually, Jordan, hold on. I got you, Jordan. I got you. Hold up a second. One second. All right, so for those that don't know, this is Legend Bay in his last in track. Okay, wait, let me see if I can get his best times. Here we go. All right, so no, this can't be right. All right, here we go. Yeah, in track he ran a 10.23, Jordan. He ran a 10.23. I mean, you know, while we're here, let's see what Malachi did. Malachi Tony track and field, 100-meter dash. I don't see it anywhere. I can't find his 100-meter time. Wait, no, hold a second. It should be on athletics. But you get the point, though, Jordan. You get the point. Now, Malachi Tony as a wide receiver is better. He's better because I can't sit here and say Legend's a better wide receiver than him because Malachi plays the wide receiver position. And he's honed in on his skills, right? And he's been playing quarterback, which is why he's probably going to play more running back than wide receiver. But yeah, he's 10 too fast. Like, actually, you know what, Jordan? What else did I have on my list of notes to talk about today? We got time. Hold up, Jordan. I don't mind watching some Legend Bay highlights. I got you, bro. Hold up. Because I'm surprised that you haven't. I mean, you're a Michigan fan, so like I understand. But I'm actually surprised you don't know who Legend Bay is. Because he's in all reality, bro. He's probably the most electric athlete in the class of 2026 coming in this season. Yeah, like here we go. I'm about to pull it up for you guys, specifically for Jordan. I haven't talked to Jordan. By the way, Jordan, you got calling on Thursday. I have a lot of questions for you as a Wolverine fan, and I want to get your thoughts on it because I know you won't BS me, you won't lie to me. But I'm really curious on what you think about the new look Wolverines coming into 2026 and how you feel about Whittingham and everything else going around that team and Bryce Underwood, of course. But yeah, let's pull these up from our guy Jordan here so he can find out. Oh no, Jordan! I'm about to pull them up right now for you. Well, okay. So question: how do you compare him to? I don't know because Moa's not. But he doesn't play defense like Moa. He doesn't play defense like him, so I don't know if I could really. But he's a better I'll have to see what Mo runs coming into this season. But yeah, bro, this is Legend Bay for you. Just you can't even describe this, bro. Like that's a different type of fast. No one's, and as I'm saying, bro, like he's one of those guys, bro. You know, like some places, Jordan, where or anybody else, where in high school, sometimes you put your best athlete at quarterback. It looks like that's what they did. They did. Now he does have some passes where you're like, holy, look, bro, Jordan, look at how running the angles, bro. Yeah, like that, he's a different type of cat. He's a different type of cat, bro. Like I don't. Yeah, you get the gist. I think you get it. He's electric. Yeah, exactly. Fast. That's exactly what he is, Jam. He's gonna be a running back, Jordan. He's probably gonna do a lot more than running back. He's probably gonna play some slot too, but he's primarily a running back for Ohio State. That's what we recruited him as. I don't know, Jordan, if you know the whole situation, but like his mom and brother wanted him to go to Tennessee, so he signed his letter of intent there, and then he ended up backing off of that and then coming to Ohio State. It was a whole ordeal, man. It was actually kind of crazy how it happened, but he's in Columbus, so that's all that matters. But let's move on here to the end of the show here, everybody, or the last topic. Yeah, that dude, Jordan, that dude. I also want to read this to you guys, and this comes from Paul Fawcett. Paul. I'm gonna say Paul. I don't know what I was about to say there. That's insane. I hope nobody caught that. But let's get on to this. So Bama might be bouncing out of playing Ohio State in the future here. I think they're supposed to play in not this upcoming season, but the next season on a home and home. And this comes from Paul Feinbaum. He was on 97.1 The Fan in Columbus, and he says, I sincerely doubt the Alabama game is going to happen based on what I've heard from Alabama's AD. He's got a shaky situation there anyway with the coach that is in trouble. Georgia might do it because they're a little more in tune and aligned, but I really don't think we're going to go too far and see those games. I know that Ross Bjork has said, and I know that Chris Del Conte has said, and other ADs have said, or what they said, but the reality is the 9th SEC game is going to be very costly for a lot of programs. Okay. And this is where we get to talk about the, I should have made this the opening monologue. This is where we get to talk about the SEC and just how it has now gotten to a point where they have become, exactly, they're chicken shits. I was going to say they become weak-minded. Jam, they're chicken shits. And mind you, this isn't far off. Wait, hold up a second. Wait 1 second. Where is this? Okay, this was December 27, everybody. December 27. Let me see if I can find it. Find the quote. Okay, Mark Ingram said this over about a month ago. I don't know if it's going to get done or if it's not, but it's definitely on the radar to get that off the schedule. Because what benefit does it to do you if you play that game close and they're going to hold it against you when it's time to be voted into the playoff? You bitches. Baby back. That's insane. That's because here, this is my biggest problem. First, I'm gonna start here. For so long, the SEC talked about, it just means more, we play a 8-game schedule, man, but it's a tough schedule every year out. And even though we go and play the Sister St. Mary's of the poor and the blind once this season and late in the season, no, man, it's just so tough. So now, when you have programs like, let's give the credit, Ohio State and Michigan, and credit, no, because they're not the 9 games yet, but Ohio State and Michigan. Last year, Ohio State plays Texas, and now they go to Texas this year. Oklahoma goes to Ann Arbor, and next year the Wolverines will be going down to Oklahoma. What are you so afraid of? Because at the end of the day, for the SEC, and this is the funnier part, because they talked about making this big league, right? Like making the college football look like the NFL, making a super league. If you have a super league, you're going to be playing P4 games all year. Because here's the bigger point about it: they're not just talking about playing Ohio State. You got to read between the lines. I don't think they would even schedule it in Illinois. They would rather take that spot and go do what Indiana does. And what's going to happen is that you're going to have those SEC programs like Alabama look at Indiana and say, well, look who they played. Look how weak their schedule was. Texas A&M, every single one of their wins in that conference, I think except for one, came in the bottom half of that conference. Dog shit teams. The SEC is now it is not what it was 10 years ago. And I think that's the uncomfortable conversation. And this isn't every SEC fans or SEC fan. It's not all Georgia Bulldogs. It's not all Bama fans. It's not all LSU fans. It's those Arkansas, Missouri, Ole Miss, those other programs that don't win championships. Hell, it's even Auburn, and they have a championship. Shout out to my guy Daniel Henry, OHIO. It's just amazing to me that they think it's the same. Bro, here's the truth of the matter. In 2019, when LSU won the SEC undefeated, won the national championship in the greatest team of all time, or at least 1A, 1B. That was one of the worst years in the SEC, and I would honestly say that was the downturn that year, was the downturn of the SEC on defense. Because the next year in 2020, they were ass on defense again. Georgia stands alone in those years after that. The SEC as a whole has been on a downturn for some time now, and now it's just blatant. It's full-blown blatant. And now now we're to a point here where, and honestly, I mean, Sark, I will say this, I was on his side after they beat Texas A&M, and he said, no one's played that Ohio State team closer than we have. We gave them the best game. Why we should be in the playoffs. But you also had to add in the fact that you lost to a shit team. You lost to a shit team. You did that. So, I mean, if you're Alabama, this is what I would ask you. Are you contemplating the fact that you may lose one of those bad football teams in your conference? Or are you just afraid of the competition that you have in your own? You see, Ohio State I would argue, has or at least a top 5 toughest schedule this season. And we knew that coming into the season. You know what Ohio State didn't do? They didn't take Texas off the schedule. They're not currently trying to do it right now. They're not trying to take Alabama off the schedule for 2 years. They're not trying to take Georgia off the schedule. Matter of fact, hold up. Let's check this out. In 2027, We play Alabama at home, then 28 at Alabama. And that's the thing. You still get us at your stadium. What are you bitching and moaning for? After that, we have a weak year. We have Navy, Charlotte, and Youngstown. Then, and as an off year, in 2030, Nevada and Georgia. 31, Georgia. 35, Boston College. 36, Boston College. Not sure why we have that, like those years in there skipped. But I guarantee you, in between that time, you may find 1 year where Ohio State is playing a weak schedule. Kind of like they did in 2024. Okay, cool. More times than not, Ohio State plays tough out-of-conference teams. So for Alabama to talk out its neck and talk and it's weak. There's no other way to cut it or slice it. It's a weak narrative. And now, and that's why I was so happy that I remember that Mark Ingram said that. Because now we're talking about from December 27 to February 9, we now know Alabama does not want to play Ohio State. We now know that. And to be quite honest with you, I somewhat understand it. Your program's on a downturn. You have 8 losses in the past 2 years. I think 4 losses. Half of those 8 losses are to unranked teams, by the way, in Alabama. And you missed the playoff. So I guess I get it from that standpoint. You don't want to step on the field with with one of the top programs in college football currently. And your program is probably going to not even be a top 10 team next year. So I get it. But, I mean, for them to get out of this just makes no sense. So, Bama, buck up, grow a pair, and be a man. Like what Don Corleone say to be a man. That's what you guys got to do. Well, everybody, that is the. Oh no. I do have something for you guys though, because we can't end without making sure that you guys have a chance to win some money. Notice I said a chance because in gambling you can't go perfect. So today, everybody, I have 3 games. This is a 3-game parlay I actually have today. So because I love my team and I think we're going to do it, I have the Detroit Pistons tonight, everybody, plus 4.5 against or at the Charlotte Hornets. Then also I have the Chicago Bulls. I have them minus 2.5 at the Brooklyn Nets tonight. I do like the Bulls. I think they could be better, but they're not a bad team. And then also give me the Minnesota Timberwolves. What did I choose? There it is. I have them at minus 9 against the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta Hawks suck. It's flat out. That's the only way I can put it to you guys. But everybody, that is the show tonight. Again, please like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Also, check out the rest of the content that we have here. If you'd like to become a member, please hit that join button where you can see our 3 tiers. And as always, everybody, OH, IO.